Hey there, YouTube family. Dr. K here, back for another video. It's been a minute. Happy New Year. And welcome back to my channel, Winning in Education. Yes, I am still winning in education in 2024. So if this is your first time to my channel, we talk all things winning. I like to keep a positive mindset, so winning is what we talk about on this channel. So whatever winning means to you, whether you're new to education and you're trying to figure out if you should go into education, or you're already in education and you feel like, hey, it's time for me to move out the classroom and maybe move into school leadership or some sort of teacher leader position, or winning in education could be all things different, right? You could be leaving education. You could be going into higher ed. Whatever it means to you, we talk about it on this channel. So today I'm talking about my journey. I'm giving you an update. So several months ago, I did 2 videos, and I have notes here because you guys know I have a horrible memory. In April, I did a video called Professor's Tough Decision. And in that video, I talked about, should I leave higher education and my professor job and go back into K-12? For you, those of you who may not remember or may not know, before I became a professor, I was a school principal. I worked in the United States and I worked internationally as an international principal. So in that video, I talk about my thoughts, my reflections on should I leave higher ed and all the reasons why I was even contemplating that, right? That was April. And then in July, lo and behold, I left my higher ed position and went back into K-12. So look at both of those videos. I'm going to link them in the description below so you can kind of get updated. But today I am giving you a 6-month-ish plus update on, yes, I left higher education and I am back in K-12 working as a school leader. So I'll give you a little backdrop on my motivation to transition. So I worked in higher ed for the last about 8 years or so, and I still kind of work. I dabble in higher ed. I have a adjuncting job, so I'm not completely out of higher ed, but my full-time gig I did leave in July. And mainly one of the motivations with that, and again, you'll look at the videos and you'll get the full insights, but the major motivation for me was work-life balance and return on my investment, right? So I was working all of these hours, it felt like working 2 or 3 different part-time jobs just to put everything together. So I'm teaching, I'm running a program, I'm having to commit to publishing. And, you know, if you know or don't know, as a professor, part of your job is continuing to write and publish because you're seeking tenure. So I felt like there was a lot going on there and I was, in my mind, grossly underpaid. So I left K-12 many years ago because my stress level was at a 10. Although I was making excellent money, I felt like, okay, I'm going to go into higher ed. I'll get to work more with students, which I love. I will get to teach, which I love, sharing my knowledge about school leadership. I felt like I had a lot to give back, and I really was looking forward to that. And I went into higher ed with my eyes wide open. I knew I was not going to make the money I was making as a principal, but I felt like it would be an even trade-off. It turned out not to be an even trade-off, right? So I was somewhat working with students, but in the last 4 or 5 years or so, my job really became about running my program and feverishly trying to publish so I could be on track for tenure, but not so much about teaching my students because my energy was focused elsewhere because it had to be. So I wasn't really being able to do the types of things that I wanted to do or the reason that I went into higher ed in the first place. And I had, again, all of these things on my plate and I felt like I was not being paid. So I I decided no more. It was a very tough decision. I got a lot of, I can't say pushback because I tend to make my own decisions. I don't really listen to people. But, leaving this so-called cushy higher ed job, and, I was at a very respectable university, very sought after. People wanted to be at this university. It seemed like this dream job, but I felt like I was just being used, and it was not a good investment for me. So lo and behold, I made the decision to leave. So that's the backstory. I wanted to give you that. So yes, I moved back into K-12. I'm working as a school leader in a high school. I've never worked in a high school before. All of my experience has been elementary, middle. So I deliberately sought a high school leadership position because I wanted something different, and I wanted something challenging, and I wanted to, round out my school leadership experience, which I'm happy about. It's a lot happening in high school. They have a lot of different programs, the graduation plans and trying to get these kids on their credit recoveries. And I'm also in charge of the advanced placement program. So working with those classes and working with the college work, there's a lot going on. So I'm learning a lot. However, I will say that it all came rushing back to me. I just had my 6-month review, so I'm working as a high school assistant principal. I'm working under a principal, which is a new dynamic for me because you guys know I have been a principal, but I do not need to be the leader, and I do not know high school well enough to be the leader, and I didn't want to go jump right back into the principal position. So I'm working under this relatively new principal. She's okay. She's good. And we had my evaluation, and her first question in my 6-month eval was, how does it feel? And I laughed because I said, it feels just like riding a bike. I got back in it. I was very nervous. Am I going to still know how to do this? Am I going to be able to relay all of that? It came right back to me. So yes, I'm learning high school, but learning the school leadership part, no, I got it. I had been a successful principal before I went into higher ed, and in higher ed the last 5 years, and currently now even as my adjuncting position, I teach school leadership. So it's really interesting when I'm talking to my current students who are trying to get into school leadership and become principals. It's interesting now that I can give a little bit more on the grounds experience, new experience of what I'm encountering and some of the things that I'm encountering. So that's all been great. The eval went great, which I was a little nervous. Who knows what people say in the evals, right? Oh, Erin came out. Who knows what people say in these evals? But it went fine. Very stellar evaluation for my 6-month review. So any challenges that I face, and I wrote down a few. Working the schedule. Let's go. I was in higher ed. Higher ed is a 9-month position, even though I worked every summer in higher ed because I had to for the money, and I had to be writing over the summer to keep up with my tenure track schedule. I typically was off in the summer, so I was able to travel a lot more. And I say travel a lot more without restrictions, right? Even if I was working in higher ed, I might be teaching an online class, I'm writing an article, I could do that from anywhere. My position now is a 12-month position, and I do have a lot of time off, but time off when you're a K-12 school leader means you're not going to really take time off during the school year because you just don't do that, right? So my travel time is a little bit more restrictive. I did have like maybe close to 2 weeks off for Christmas. I'm used to having off like 4 weeks in higher ed, so I didn't travel internationally, but I felt like I was refreshed in the travel. So I did travel locally. So that was good. So I can say that's kind of a challenge to me now, having to plan out my travel schedule according to this 12-month thing. I'm not sure I like that. What else did I say was a challenge? That's really it for me. I didn't really have any additional challenges. I thought I would have a challenge reacclimating to K-12. I did not. So what's positive about my experience? The first positive thing I will point out is that my position is a fully remote gig. Yes, I found me a fully remote school leadership position. Now, I have been looking for a full remote position for years. I think I've interviewed for several of these, never got to like the last interview, and thank gosh, thank God that I got this position. So one of the benefits, it's fully remote. So, like today where I am, I did have to move from North Carolina. I am now living in Delaware. It snowed today. You guys know I'm not team winter. I am team sunshine, and I'm a little bummed about the snow, but the only good thing is I did not have to get out early to shovel or clean off my car because I'm remote. So yay, so that's good. Another positive experience was I'm working with a team. They've been very gracious to kind of make sure that I acclimate to the team. I fit in very well. I get along with people very well. So, but you never know. They have been working together before, so they let me in. That's been good. The actual work itself has been fine. Nothing has been like, oh my gosh. And because this is a remote gig, I don't really have to deal with what made me run from K-12 in the beginning, which was that whole school discipline part, right? I did have a discipline issue the other day. A student sent a nasty gram to his teacher, so I had to talk to the student and call home, but it was not anything like being on the ground handling day-to-day school discipline. I'm not going to be dealing with fights and all of that, so I don't know what I did, but thank God I got this position because this is like the best of both worlds. So it's been very positive. And another very positive benefit that came out of this, the money is great. Got an awesome raise coming from higher ed, exactly what I wanted. I was able to negotiate. It was awesome. And my work-life balance is, in my opinion, back in sync. So when I log off my computer, I'm done pretty much, right? I don't have to log off like I used to do in higher ed. I would leave my classes. I might stop working for an hour when I got home, but then I would have to switch into my writer's cap because I have to work on an article, or I have to find some magazines in which I can submit articles. So I was always having to do something. On the weekends, I was always having to do something. So Friday after work, when I was in higher ed, I would stop working at 5, and then I would try not to work Friday night. Saturday, I would take the whole day off. But Sunday, usually by noon, I was back into grading papers, writing my articles, so it was just a cyclical cycle that was very tiring. I don't have that now, right? I don't have to be marking papers. I may look over some things very late on Sunday to make sure I'm ready for Monday morning, but that work-life balance is just, it's awesome. So sorry about that, guys. I thought I had turned this down. So yes, that's a benefit. And then my final thoughts. The big question my friends and family have been asking me is, was this a good decision for you leaving higher ed and going back into K-12? Do you like your decision? Do you feel good about your decision, or do you regret your decision? And I absolutely love it. I love my decision. I give myself kudos often that I made the decision because it was very tough. It was scary. It felt like, oh my gosh, you're going backwards. You're leaving the professor gig, and that's such a cushy gig. And, I had my professor friends like, you're going back? Like, this is the pinnacle. And I'm looking at them like, but you're making peanuts. Like, you're working like a dog, but you're making no money. If I'm going to work like this, I might as well go back to K-12 and make the money. That was always my motivation, but it still was scary. And I'm here to say I'm happy with my decision. I want to encourage you, if you are thinking about leaving higher ed and going into another position, leaving K-12 and going into another position, leaving the classroom, going into school leadership. I have a friend now who is thinking about leaving. She went from the counselor position into an AP position. It's a little crazy and chaotic where she is. And she's been, toying with the idea, I might go back to the counselor's role. Do it. Don't let anybody shame you or guilt you or try to make you stay in a position because they feel like, quote unquote, it is more prestigious. It is about you and your comfort level. So yes, I pat myself on the back all the time and say, yay, Carlin, yes, I'm so happy that you did it. And kudos to you. All right, guys, so that's it. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And in the comments, I am curious, do you have a decision that you're grappling with, but you're kind of on the fence, or have you made one of these scary decisions? Okay, guys, that is it for now. Take care. Bye-bye.